Today's episode features a well-established poet, and we have two poems lined up for you today. One I think is quite funny. It's about a tin opener, but I still think it sounds silly, but it's a funny poem. And then the next one is more of a heartfelt, sincere poem. So stay tuned to hear two poems. This is Blue Pigment, a podcast for talented people to launch their forms of art. If you have an art form that you would like to display, please visit bluepigment.co.uk. There is a section on the website for you to write to me. But if you're not going to go on there, you could look me up on any messenger, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram or YouTube. Further to that, you can email me at bluepigmentpodcast@outlook.com. If you don't have a talent and you're just here to observe and enjoy the art forms, then please like, share and subscribe so that everybody can get to listen to some of these amazing artists. There are many ways for you to enjoy Blue Pigment. You can go on YouTube, Google Podcast, iPodcast, Spotify, SoundCloud, Patreon.com, BuzzFeed, and many other podcast providers. If you're feeling generous and you want to support the podcast, go to Patreon.com and search for Blue Pigment. Become a patron, and you could be entitled to lots of benefits. So far, we've had poetry, music, singing, comedy, and I'm sure I'm going to discover a lot more artists and a lot of different forms of talent. Please stay tuned to Blue Pigment Podcast and like, share and subscribe. My name is Ash Stafford and this is Blue Pigment. Welcome to whatever episode this is. I'm actually losing count now, which is actually a good thing. I feel happy that I've lost count of how many episodes I've done. And this episode is going to be about success stories. Now I could talk about the more obvious success stories, but this is Blue Pigment and we're a podcast for the underdog and the people that are hopefully going to come up the next level of talent. So some famous names that you might know that used to be in the forces: Elvis Presley, Clint Eastwood, Johnny Cash, Mr. T, Chuck Norris, Morgan Freeman, Humphrey Bogart, Ice-T. The list goes on. There's quite a few American ones. Let's have some British ones. Michael Caine, Sean Connery, Billy Connolly, Leveson Wood, Bear Grylls. That's just to name a few. I've also, there's a lot of people that leave the military and become a success story and may not be as an actor or someone really famous, but go on to have their own business, their own clothing brand, their own gyms, all these other smaller businesses, but are still a great success story of what they've achieved in their lives and what they're still achieving today. Now, one of the more talented sort of ex-forces people or person you may know be James Blunt. Now, James Blunt is not my next guest. My next guest is a poet who, in his own field in poetry, has, succeeded quite well. He has his own book out. He has many poems, a YouTube channel, and quite a lot of followers on there. His name is Clive Sanders. So if you look up Clive Sanders, you probably see he comes up as an author of a book of poems. So if you were into it, check it out. Or you can also find him on YouTube under Clive Sanders or The Military Poet. So the first poem that I'm going to introduce you to now is about a tin opener that you get issued in the army. It's one of those things that if you know, you know. If you don't, you may not understand it. But in a 24-hour ration pack, they used to give out a tin opener. And now it's a small piece of metal, or it's two pieces of metal that are joined together. One has a very small handle on it, one has a blade, and it's used in a manner to open the tins. And it's an item that never seems to fail. Probably one of the best items the army's come out with. Now, it's no longer in a 24-hour ration pack, but it is in a 10-man ration pack these days. I might be showing my age. I haven't checked recently, but the last I checked, there was these army sort of style tin openers in a 10-man ration pack. And this poem is called The Army Tin Opener. If you know, you know.
Hello, I'm Clive Sanders, a military poet. Today's poem is The Army Tin Opener. I've got an army tin opener from my army days of old. It may be made of cheapest steel, but it's worth its weight in gold. I found it in the accessories within a compo pack. It was issued by the RQMS, but he didn't want it back. First you hook it to the tin, then you give a little twist. Hold tight to the tin of sausages in your mucky little fist. Then you turn the army tin opener on the tin to which it's hooked, and soon the tin of sausages is ready to be cooked. In Germany on exercise, our tin openers were used, much better than the army knife, but left your knuckles bruised. We went through army tin openers by thousands every year. Some were quickly broken or exchanged for Helles beer. I kept my army tin opener next to my army spoon. In case there was some grub to eat, I'd be ready for it soon. The good old army tin opener could open any can, and after many years of use, I'm still its biggest fan. We've been given modern tin openers of many other makes, but compared to army tin opener, they're merely shoddy fakes. I think my army tin opener could cut through an armoured sheet, and if seen upon the battlefield, would make Russian tanks retreat. So tell your army tin opener that you love its little blade. You think it is the best device this country's ever made. Then show your army tin opener a little bit of care, and it will open baked bean tins with its good old British flair. Thank you.
It's a really comical poem. Clive also is a resident poet for Never Such Innocence charity, which gives children and young people a voice on conflict. Never Such Innocent runs an international poet, art, speech and song competition for young people aged between 9 and 18, focusing on conflict and its impact. They amplify the voice of children and young people all over the world. Now, some of the competitions they run are for children of serving members of the armed forces, and the competitions they do are poems, songs, speeches, etc. As a father myself, and having to have gone away from my family for 4 months, I deployed to the Falklands, I can see how hard it is for my children and for children in general that have to, say goodbye to one of their parents and not see them for, for a very long period of time, especially when they're young. It could be the majority of their life at that particular time. So a charity like this, to allow children to focus their minds on another task, is really important for the children's mental health. So if you want to go and check out neversuchinnocence.com, really good, helpful website and charity for the children. So this next poem I'm going to introduce you to now is called Grandfather's Suitcase.
There's a suitcase in Grandfather's wardrobe that looks battered by years of hard use. It holds all his treasures and secrets, though its straps and its locks are quite loose. It holds photos and postcards from Cairo. There are letters with ribbons wrapped round. There are beer mats from bars all over the world, with round marks from the beers that he's downed. There's a crumpled old military Bible that he's carried around all his life. Inside there's a photo of Grandma as his beautiful, young-looking wife. There's a faded old shot of his father, dressed up as if going to war. But you notice the man in the picture isn't seen in the photos no more. There's a falling to pieces old wallet that gives off an appalling bad stench. And inside there's a snap of a woman whose clothes look decidedly French. His medals are wrapped in a duster and are shining and always so clean. I asked him what makes them so shiny, and he said they were touched by the Queen. I love sorting through Grandfather's suitcase as I lie there sprawled out on his bed, but I know that they just hold a picture of the memories he has in his head. Thank you.
Now I can really relate to that. I have a collection of sort of memorabilia, t-shirts, photos, pictures, news articles from my time and my service. So, and it is actually kept in the suitcase along with some family memorabilia as well, and medals, etc. So yeah, one day I'll probably be sat down on my bed with my grandchildren and going through the same sort of thing, having people ask questions about members of my friends that are in photos or whatnot, and having to explain it was a different time, a different world. But I really hope you enjoyed that poem and all the poems on today's episode. But it's coming up to that time again, so I'm going to have to start wrapping this up again. Thank you very much for listening. Look forward to seeing you all again soon. You are listening to Blue Pigment Podcast, a podcast for art. If you have a particular talent that you'd like displayed, this can be your platform. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, or you can go to bluepigment.co.uk for more information. If you would like to become a patron of this show, head over to patreon.com and then search Blue Pigment. As a patron, you will get early access to the episodes, as well as merchandise and other benefits, such as patron thank yous and behind the scenes access. You can become a Sapphire patron for £3 a month, a Blue Diamond patron for £10 a month, or you can personalise or customise your own pledge. Head over to patreon.com. The opinions expressed on this podcast are solely of my own or the guests, and do not express the views or opinions of anyone else or Ministry of Defence.